Good afternoon. This is Barry with Christenson Transportation. We're the trucker's truck. Today I want to talk a little bit on the safety front. And I know I've covered it before, but some things are important. I want to talk about our basic scores, our CSA scores in different categories, where we're doing well, where we need to work on to get better. So we track these things, and they stay on the record. If you get a overweight, you get a left lane, you get a speeding warning, you get an hours of service issue, it's on there for 36 months, and it's just multiplied by a factor of 3. For the first 6 months. If it's a 10-point deal, it counts 30 points for the first 6 months. Then it drops down for the next 12 months and so forth till eventually it's off, but it takes quite a while, so it's pretty serious. And I think I've talked before about who's using this data. It's public information. Some of it is I agree with, some of it I don't. You get unsafe driving, and it could be a left lane ticket. Unsafe driving seems to me like swerving around, speeding, tailgating, that kind of stuff. But most of our violations is because we don't understand that California has a law, Indiana has a law, Georgia has a law. Stay out of the left lane. It's not for you. All those states have had that before 90% of you drivers were even born, so it's not new. So learn from it, and 10 wrongs don't make a right. So if everybody's in the left lane, who cares? We don't employ everybody. So let's not be that person, and let's not have that mentality of everybody else is doing it, or I was just keeping up with traffic. Don't want to hear it. Never got a ticket for driving the speed limit. So some of our scores, we're doing very well, and we have for a long time. Some of it creeps up on you. And then you start seeing more inspections, and we get good ones, and it goes back down, or enough time lapses and it falls off. But overall, we do really, really well. Probably the most nerve-wracking thing is that category of unsafe driving, and it's all speed warnings, and it's all left lanes, and it's all preventable. So no excuses on that one. Crash indicator, we're down at 20%. Obviously we'd like to have 0, but they don't always grade these properly. We've had accidents that we've got video on, and we're exonerated. We're not given a ticket. It wasn't our fault, and yet it still shows up on the record because the wording on the police report's wrong or something. It seems like common sense at some point would take over, especially when we submit the video, we submit the police stuff, whatever it is, and nobody wants to hear it. It's hard. It's like an umpire calls a strike and you argue. He's not going to say, "Oh, okay, my bad." He's going to say, "Hey, I'll throw you out." Well, it's the kind of treatment we get sometimes. Hours of service is at 34%. That's another deceiving category. When I think hours of service, I think logbook, 11-hour rule, 14-hour rule, 70-hour rule. We've got 4, over the last 2 years, 4 14-hour rule violations. So that's not the majority. The majority, unfortunately, is I'm not sure everybody understands the law when they're writing these tickets. A lot of them have been written up for not having the instruction booklet for the ELD device, but it's on the device on a tutorial and a video. Some of it was not being able to find their 7 days of logs in case your tablet breaks quick enough. Some of them are, hey, you didn't submit your logs to the officer fast enough because there was a line of trucks behind you and the officer's impatient, so we trained you 8 months ago on one day on how to submit those, and you're trying to fumble around and submit them, and I'm not technologically advanced, so I struggle with it too, but some people don't have time to wait or understand that it's really about safety and not computers, but those are our violations in that category. A lot of those are educational, and we can fix them, so I'm not worried about that. Right now, the highest category is vehicle maintenance. You know, I don't expect people to be mechanics. The mechanics can't even work on these trucks anymore. They're all computerized, but they're also all brand new. Our whole fleet's brand new, so we don't see stuff like worn out brakes or steering components. We're getting nitpicky. It's, oh, you got a chafed airline where the spring on the airline is made a mark on it. Didn't go through it, it's still covered, but it's dirty. Well, I guess we got to find something to write up about, but I don't even hold the drivers at fault for that. The one I hold the drivers at fault for is overweight, because we didn't move our tandems or we didn't weigh our load, and leaking audible air leaks or flat tires. You cross 2 or 3 scales a day maximum. You get 2 mile notification, 1 mile notification on your tablet that there's a scale and that it's coming up. And all I have ever asked was, hey, pull over, look at your equipment for 5 minutes. If you've got an audible air leak that DOT officer can hear sitting in that guard shack from 30 yards away, you ought to be able to catch it. There's no excuse for that. And if you've got a flat tire and it's off the beads, you've been driving that way quite a while, you know, so either learn how to read your air gauge. If it's down, you know, and you're not putting your brakes on, you got an air leak. Those are the ones that get me. Those are all preventable. So can't hold anybody else to blame for that, but the person that rolls up on the scale with a flat tire. So work on the maintenance. Do your pre-trips. It's highly important. It's safety related. Pre-trips for you. Pre-trips for the equipment. You don't want to get stranded out in the middle of somewhere with an issue that you could have found when you're sitting at a shipper or receiver. And pre-trips are there for the motoring public. You know, you don't want to blow out. We don't want an accident. So it's all safety related. So, you know, when we went to the truck driving rodeo last month, you know, you had a small portion of it was driving. We all know you can drive. There was a written test that, you know, was probably worse than taking the bar exam. But the biggest thing was the pre-trip inspection, and that let me know where we needed the most work. Pre-trip is highly important for all those reasons I just listed. So, you know, sometimes when you say, I've been driving 10 years, 20 years, you forget what got you there. And what got you there, what they start teaching at truck driving school, what they start in the training programs, is pre-trip, pre-trip, pre-trip. So it's not going to change. It's always the most important thing. Get out there and look at that equipment, maintain it. It's kind of like, let's pretend you're a scuba diver. Are you going to take off to the wild blue yonder at 200 feet deep and not have looked at your equipment, not have checked your air regulator, not sure that everything's working properly? I sure to God hope not, because you'd only get one chance at that. So, you know, pretend you're going to space, pretend you're going out to the desert, wherever it is, pretend you're not going to have any help. Do a good quality pre-trip. So I'll be keeping you informed as we go, see if we can turn that curve the other direction in some of these categories and eliminate some of the categories. Speeding, left lane, you know, it's not going to quit. I'm like the little computer that says, put your seatbelt on, put your seatbelt on. I'm going to say, stay out of the left lane, slow down. Stay out of the left lane, slow down. So when we get tired of Barry saying that, life will be good. So anyway, it's all about safety. Thanks for being here at Christenson Transportation. We're the trucker's truck, and safety definitely takes my place.